Sometimes it's easy to feel jealous of someone else's talents. Emily thought Caitlin was amazing. She wished she had Caitlin's speed and streamlining. But then one day, Emily used her strong buffers to save Caitlin, and she realized that Caitlin thought she was amazing too. I thought Isla was incredible, and I got upset that she was quicker at getting to emergencies than I was. But then, I discovered that my strong and sturdy frame meant I was perfect for rescuing people during a cyclone. I may not be a doctor or a doctor's plane, but in the end, I was just the right vehicle for the job. Everyone has something they are good at.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! It's fun to show off what you can do, but too much showing off can get you into a lot of trouble. Spencer was so busy showing off to a very important passenger that he ended up taking him to the clay pits instead of Knapford. James thought it was very important which color he was painted, but no matter what color he was, he couldn't stop showing off, even in his dreams. In the end, James realized that he had to stop showing off if he didn't want to have another crash. Sometimes showing off makes you forget to be careful, and that can cause lots of problems.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! How do you feel when someone teases you? Once, Gordon made fun of Henry for being afraid of a few drops of rain. That hurt Henry's feelings. Another time, Samson called Millie a silly little engine. That made Millie feel cross. It can feel horrible when somebody says something mean about you. When I stood up for Rosie at the docks, Bill and Ben and Diesel all made fun of me. I felt silly and upset, and that made me act in a bad way towards Rosie. I shouldn't have listened to them and their silly teasing. Sticking up for your friends is a good thing, not something to make fun of. And I'm very happy that Rosie is my friend.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! Have you ever solved a mystery? Perhaps you had to keep an eye out for clues, and maybe someone came along to help you. Once, Bill and Ben sent Timothy all over the island to fetch a rainbow-colored truck. But just when he realized they were teasing him, Sorty helped him find one anyway. When Sydney forgot what he was supposed to be doing with his flatbed of parts, Paxton stepped in to help. They followed the clues, and together they solved the mystery. The parts were for Sydney. Sometimes, when you've got a problem to solve, it helps to do it together with a friend. Together, you can make it fun.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! Have you ever told a tall tale or said something that wasn't exactly true? I've made things up a few times. Once, I caused an accident at the docks and tried to blame a made-up engine called Jeffrey. But that just caused even more trouble.
Pretending I knew things I didn't know got me into trouble in the outback too. From now on, if I make something up, I'll make sure everyone knows it's not real. It's just a silly joke. I better get going. I've got a carriage full of crocodiles and they'll be cranky if we're late to Crovan's Gate. That was definitely a joke.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! It can be hard for animals to find places to live when there are so many people around all the time. I remember when Luke made friends with a young deer. But the quarry was far too noisy for the little thing. The peace and quiet of the Ulfstead Castle grounds was a much better home for the deer. Rajiv and I both wanted to see a tiger. And so did a lot of other people. But the tigers didn't really want to be seen, and it wasn't always a good idea for people to find them either. Sometimes, the best way to help animals live happily and in peace is by leaving them and their homes alone.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! Have you ever helped to look after an animal? Maybe you have a pet at home or at school in your classroom. Luke once found a little deer who was scared by all the noise at the quarry. So he brought it to a place that was safe and quiet. One winter, I brought some animals to Tidmouth Sheds to keep warm. All the engines helped. Even James warmed to the idea.
Here, chickie, chickie, chick. Come to Uncle James. Oh, how cute.
Looking after animals is important and can be fun. Think about the animals around you and what they need to be safe and happy. Maybe you can find a way to help.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time! Have you ever had to try a new way of doing something? It's not always an easy thing to get used to. One time, a whale got stranded on the beach, and Toad thought of a new way of getting her back into the water. Oliver thought it was a silly idea, but in the end, we all gave Toad's idea a try. And it worked! I'd been lifted back onto the rails by cranes loads of times, but I'd never been helped by an elephant. When I needed help getting back onto the tracks, I learned that elephants could be really useful too. Maybe you'll get a chance to discover a new way of doing something. Give it a try. You may be surprised.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time.
What do you do when your friends are scared or upset? Sometimes you can help them feel better. My friend Henry used to be scared of the rain. He thought it would ruin his paintwork, so he would always try to find a place to hide and stay dry. I didn't like seeing Henry looking so sad and worried. So I tried to show him that rain was nothing to be frightened of. After all, it's only water. When Samson got scared of the fireworks, Bradford stayed with him and helped him get over his fear. Once Samson calmed down, he realized that he did quite like the fireworks after all. Sometimes we can help our friends feel better just like our friends can help us too. And friends who help each other are the best friends of all.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time. Have you ever found it hard to understand what someone is trying to tell you? I know I have. But sometimes it's just about paying more attention.
One time, when Samson was going to the quarry, he coupled up to coaches instead of trucks. The other engines tried to tell him he'd made a mistake, but Samson ignored them and took passenger coaches to pick up some rocks. If I'd paid more attention to what the monkey was trying to tell me in the first place, I might have realized that he wanted to go home. And I might have seen the spilled coconuts in time to save them from being squashed.
It's important to pay attention when someone is trying to tell you something. And it's good to ask questions if you don't understand. But right now, I need to pay attention to the station master.
Come on, Thomas!
It's time to go.
See you next time.